video is going to be a combination of everything Pat Verbeek has said over the past few days, his media availability, the Ducks Stream podcast, his broadcast segment, and the Ducks migration event. Let's start with the thing that pissed me off the most. He mentioned Mintyukov, and by the way, he mispronounced Minty's name differently every single time. Between the Ducks broadcast, the coach, and the GM, how are fans supposed to know how to pronounce players' names? Now I don't feel so bad when I do it. Anyway, Verbeek revealed that Minty has been recovering from blocking a shot from Lundy last year. It damaged his knee, and he had surgery late in the summer, and it never fully quite healed. So you're telling me Minty has been hurt, still recovering from surgery, and has been playing through it? Why not just keep Dumo and shut Minty down for the rest of the season so he can heal? And maybe, if the Dumo deal was too good to pass up, why not rest Minty at the beginning of the year instead? Our decor was different back then, but we still had Vax who could fill in. It's not like we were lighting up at the start of the season anyway. Honestly, this explains a lot as to why Minty hasn't looked like himself or the player he was last year. But I guess now there's no real choice. Sure, we have Chillington who could fill in too, but that still feels like such a downgrade from Dumoulin, or hell, a healthy Minty, which is what he would have been had he been rested earlier. Even still, if Minty isn't healthy, I'd rather have Chillington play. Verbeek also basically said that it's ultimately Cronin's decision if Chillington plays or not, but it's set up so he's supposed to be the 7th defenseman. Why are we jeopardizing next season, and maybe even his career? I'm sure it's not that drastic, but knee injuries are nothing to mess with. All this for slim playoff hopes this year? It just doesn't make any sense. Another thing that doesn't make sense is that Verbeek waited until the last possible moment to trade Dumo, despite knowing the logjam wasn't good for Zelly or Minty. He admitted that sometimes there are reasons players get pulled from the lineup, and other times they don't deserve to come out. But it's confusing for young players and wrecks their confidence. Yes, he got a great deal for Dumo, but was it worth potentially hurting player development? More on Dumo. Verbeek mentioned he might bring him back. Maybe that was just him being political, but the logjam is only going to be worse next year. So he better not. Especially since, on a positive note, we got some great news on our 3rd round pick from 2020, Ian Moore. Last I heard, I can't remember if it was a rumor or a report, that Moore wasn't going to sign for us. Now Beaker confirmed he will, a much-needed right-handed defenseman in the mix. Verbeek also mentioned that he believes Moore also has more to show offensively that he wasn't able to show in college. After his college season ends, Moore will be joining the goals. Based on Harvard's record, I don't think they'll make the tournament, but I'm not too familiar with how college hockey works, so I don't really know. Either way, we should see him in late March. Interestingly, this question was also about Artyom Gavanov, but Verbeek just skipped over him, so it's still TBD on Artie. There were 5 questions about Zegras, Gauthier, Carlsson, LaCombe, and goaltending. On Z, he said he had taken huge steps, not only from a competitive standpoint, but also his work ethic. He's added details to his game. He seemed almost happy that Zegras got suspended and fought. Like no shocker, he likes him to be more physical, which is good to some degree, but he didn't mention anything about Zegras offensively, which is concerning. On Cutter, he said he had a lot to work on, especially using his speed more effectively in the neutral zone. He doesn't take full advantage of his skating ability to blow by defenders. He's improved his puck protection and shot, but still needs to be better about recognizing when to shoot or pass. He's just scratching the surface. On Leo, he said he's made significant strides defensively, but he hasn't performed as well as last year due to facing tougher competition. However, his confidence has grown since the Four Nations, his pace has improved, and he's becoming more aggressive with his shooting. Though it's still frustrating, he doesn't take opportunities to shoot despite having a great shot. On LaCombe, he said he had a strong training camp, but got off to a slow start after being sick. Now he looks like his college self, confident and mature. Once Helleson arrived, LaCombe's game took off. He believes having Helly, a lifelong friend, has really helped him. On goaltending, he said based on stats, it's top 5 in the league, so he has no intention to trade Gibby unless it makes sense to do so. He also confirmed that Dostal will get a new contract after the season, but when asked about bridge deals versus long-term contracts, I got a little concerned. Verbeek prefers bridge deals 2 to 3 years because they reduce pressure, allows players to develop before committing to long-term contracts. He wants to see a few seasons of consistency before handing out 7 to 8 year deals. While that makes sense, waiting too long often leads to players demanding more money. With so many players needing a new contract soon, every bit of cap space matters, especially with Verbeek and Solomon's reputation for being nickel and dimers. That said, they were creative with Vetrano's deferred deal, and Verbeek said he wouldn't hesitate to use that strategy again. There's no doubt McTeague gets a bridge deal this offseason. As for Dostal, if Verbeek bridges him, it won't be more than 2 years. Otherwise, he would be walked right to UFA status. But hasn't Dostal already been bridged once? He already signed a 2-year deal. Not signing him long-term would be a mistake, and I hope that doesn't happen. Because based on the team's 5-on-5 numbers, we're gonna need him. Although Verbeek thinks 5-on-5, those numbers are good. Verbeek sees significant progress from the team this year. He said that last season was a culture shock as players adjusted to higher expectations and accountability. This season, they've embraced the system more. He believes the 5-on-5 play has improved, but acknowledges special teams are a major issue. If their power play and penalty kill were even average, they'd be in a playoff spot, or at least 5 games better in the standings. So it's not looking good for the Fire Cronin crowd. In fact, coaching wasn't brought up at all. Not really shocking. On the rebuild timeline, Verbeek compared the Ducks to the New Jersey Devils, saying it took them 6 years to reach the playoffs. He believes the Ducks are knocking on the door, but young players go through learning curves as teams adjust to them. Verbeek acknowledged that the team needs more offensive firepower, emphasizing that the Ducks must improve their goal scoring to compete with top teams that score at least 250 goals per season. While he wants to give the young guys more room to grow, he also recognizes that they need veteran help to accelerate their development. He plans to pursue again a top 6 forward with scoring ability this offseason. Just gonna rapid fire some to end. They couldn't trade Fabry because he broke his hand and will be out 3 more weeks. Yet another injury that the Ducks downplayed as short term. No need to rush him back. Let Sam, Nesty, and maybe others play instead. When asked about any goals, college, junior prospects, and if there were any that had a real shot to make the team next season, the first person he mentioned was Nikita Nesterenko. He also confirmed that Nesty will be called up again this season. He also praised the goals, saying he was very happy with Hines, Gauthier, and Leno, saying Loons is doing something a rookie defenseman has never done. On Seneca, they plan to take their time with him. Interestingly, he did mention that he is very much like Leo and needing to put weight on and strength. Could we see the return of the Leo plan next year? One fun one, if Beaker could change one NHL rule, he'd adopt the European rule for goalie interference, where they blow the whistle as soon as someone enters the crease. Sounds less chaotic, but more boring. I'm surprised the Ducks didn't upload the migration event this year. I didn't see a camera crew like in past years. I live streamed it in our Discord since YouTube has been a pain recently. I did screen record it though, intending to upload it if the Ducks didn't, but apparently if you screen record while streaming on Discord, it doesn't capture audio. So unfortunately, no audio from the event. Let me start by saying the event is great, and it's nice the Ducks do it, but I think a few things could make this event even better. Since the Ducks don't send out surveys after events, how will they ever improve? First off, it was essentially the same thing as last year, except outside Honda Center, which was a better location. At least there was some shade this time, but beyond that, I didn't see many improvements. They still had cold cut sandwiches for breakfast, very European. Don't call it breakfast and then serve cold cuts. The player meet and greets was still a mess. How do you run it the same as last year when it clearly didn't work? Again, I'm lucky to have the opportunity to attend this event. But when they tell everyone to stay at their tables and wait for players to come around, it just rewards the people who ignore the rules. Those who moved around got to meet more players, while those who followed instructions were stuck waiting and got passed on. It's chaotic and poorly organized. Now hear me out, I don't even know if this is possible, but this would be my ideal version of this event. Watch practice inside Honda Center. We used to have a skills competition, but if that's not doable, maybe Cronin could talk through a real practice, explain why they do certain drills. Then while the players get changed after practice, Verbeek could come out and talk like usual. After that, the players could come out row by row to say hi to fans. If that's too difficult to manage, they could at least bring back the Q&A sessions we used to have too. I get that fan interaction is tricky, but this setup might be simpler while still letting us engage with the team. Anyway, just some of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on what Verbeek said? Concerns or positives? Thank you to our members. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and go Ducks!
We try to take guys like who could be doctors, and T-Bone took the guys who could be a plumber.